Oh, the Christianity of it all. Dude, it has been popping off lately in the States, specifically for me in the town I grew up in. We have this Facebook group with membership numbers tripling the actual amount of people who live in the town. But I grew up in a very small western farm town, and a lot of people who grew up there moved away when they got older. A lot of them moved back after college. Some of them don't. A lot of them don't. People stay away for 20 years and then they come back. People who lived in this town for 30 or 40 years decide to move to a different town, but they still have interest in the town, so that's why they join the group or remain a part of the group. And so we have this kind of fluctuating population, this more migrant population, especially because a lot of people who move away still have grandparents in town or parents in town. And so you'll see them coming through during the summer months or during the Christmas months, probably during certain times, just visiting their family, or they come back and forth. Shit has been popping off, dude. Shit has been popping off. I grew up in a town with a lot of Mexican Americans and Mexicans who were not gotten their citizenship yet to become Americans. And if you listen to my last podcast episode, not the most recent one, but the one that's about legal immigration, where I spoke about my experience immigrating in Holland, then this will be a really good episode to listen next to it in tandem with it. There were a lot of Mexican immigrants where I grew up. There are undocumented people in that entire region because it's farmland, and those undocumented, let's call them, for the sake of the argument, illegal immigrants and or migrant workers work on the farms. They're able to find jobs under the table, and that's how they're able to sustain a life in the States without having papers. So Trump has been hard on immigration, although I'll say he's not been any harder than any other presidents in the past 10 years. I watched a very informative YouTube video by Legia Miller, and she gave the numbers. And Obama was actually one of the presidents with the highest amount of deported immigrants during his tenure, let's say, during his, what do they call it? Term in presidency. So that's, I guess, heartening to know that it's not new. And what else is bringing me a lot of comfort is, surprisingly enough, the Bible. I'm not a Christian anymore, or at least I am scared to admit or affiliate with Christians because they are so hateful, which is so crazy. They are so Republican and right-wing. Not so much here in the Netherlands, though, so that, makes it a little bit easier. I've been going to church with one of my friends here and there, and her and her family are like, yeah, absolutely, Trump is not a Christian, which is my opinion, and the proof bears it out. I mean, Jesus was about feeding people. Jesus was a socialist, so he spoke to this big crowd one time, and everybody was hungry, and so he basically said, okay, well, what do we have on hand? And there was a couple fish and a few loaves of bread that he could find, and he said, all right, everybody sit down and take a little bit and pass it on to your neighbor, and let's put all of our food in the middle and let's share it. And everybody had enough to eat. He was very much about sharing resources. He was very much about caring for the sick, very much about gender equality. He treated women with respect and actually listened to their opinions and problems. Quite scandalous. He was very, I want to say intimate with women, but that makes it sound sexual. But what I mean is that he spoke to women about their concerns. He met women where they were at as humans and had intimate conversations with women just as he did with his male disciples. So yeah, he was a feminist, he was a socialist. He was constantly preaching about when a traveler comes through your town, let them into your home and give them something to eat. Do you think that that's how modern day American Christians really operate? No. Like, in general, as a whole, not operating that way at all. And Trump definitely isn't. So it's just that, the Christianity of it all. So just don't say you're Christian. But anyway, and there's a lot that I tend to be more agnostic on. I don't need the whole heaven and hell thing. I don't think that just saying I believe in Jesus Christ automatically saves you from the fiery pits that nobody knows if they exist or not. And yeah, I mean, I think Jesus was a Mother Teresa. I think he was an example. But do I think that his blood and his body is some sort of magical ticket into heaven or something? Like, no. I believe in everything he taught. So that's why I don't know if I should say I'm a Christian or not, but it doesn't really matter. In this conversation, that's not necessarily what I need to get into, but it's funny because there's been this chapter of the Bible that I always loved in high school, and it's Ecclesiastes, and it's honestly such a vibe. Like, it's just existential dread for like the first 2 whole chapters. It's like everything is worthless. Like, you work so hard and you move the needle like 1 centimeter. And even if you do move the needle like 10 feet, somebody comes in after you and moves it back. Like, everything is pointless. And this is like such the political climate. It's just, some people will call it the pendulum swing. A Democrat gets in office, they do all this great stuff. Then a Republican gets elected next and undoes it. A Republican gets in office, he does all this great stuff. And then the Democrats come in and just reverse everything. So, like, Ecclesiastes is honestly such a vibe for today's American political climate. It's literally first chapter heading is everything is futile. All things are wearisome, more than anyone can say. It's just amazing. Absolute futility, says the teacher. Absolute futility. Everything is futile. What does a person gain for all his efforts that he labors at under the sun? A generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. Like, the sun rises, the sun sets, it's the same every day. It's the same shit, different day. Like, literally, he's just saying, like, same shit, different day. It's such a vibe, dude. It is so relatable, especially with politics. And I have seen all the things that are done under the sun and have found everything to be futile. A pursuit of the wind. It's like chasing the fucking wind. It's a fart in the wind, dude. That's what he's saying. What is crooked cannot be straightened. What is lacking cannot be counted. It's been interesting because I run this group. I'm an admin of this group on Facebook where there's all these people from my hometown and more, right? I said the member count of the group is 3 times what the population of the city is. And there's been a lot of discussion lately about immigration. There's been posts from people saying, know your rights. And then there's been comments from other people saying, you're a criminal, you have no rights. And then there's been comments from other people saying, even criminals have rights. And then there's been new posts created, saying go back to where you came from. There's been hella comments on that, like crazy. And as a moderator and admin of the group, I have been monitoring the situation. Now, it's my personal stance that I don't mind ever talking about politics, I know it's not for some people. Same thing about religion. Those two things, I think, in the social media sphere, a lot of groups just say no politics, no religion. I tend to be very much a champion of debate, a champion of let's discuss policy, let's discuss religion, let's discuss politics, let's discuss those bigger ideas, especially when they relate to our community directly. And in this group setting, I find it appropriate. But because with politics and religion, there's so much behind it that the person finds is so important, like their personal values, they care so much about, it can so easily get emotional to the point where people are calling names and everything else. But my role as a moderator has simply been to make sure that there are no insults being gone back and forth, and there definitely have been, but as soon as they arise, I either delete the comment or I reach out directly to the commenter. If it was a small insult, I have messaged them privately saying like, hey, can you edit this comment? Because I think you have a good point, but the insult is not allowed. So if you don't edit the insult out of it, I have to delete the entire comment. And in that case, the point that you're making is completely not even able to be seen because I've deleted the whole thing. So I've been very active, reaching out to people, speaking with them directly, and actively monitoring the group to facilitate discussion. And it's been so rewarding. It's been so awesome. But, I have to say the one part about it that really sucks is I don't feel that I'm allowed to have a personal opinion because, and maybe I just need to step back and accept my role and just do the good I can without going overboard. Because I made this post yesterday just saying guys, there's been a lot of posts on here about illegal immigrants go away, and I just want to encourage Mexican Americans and people of our Mexican community or our diverse community, any other cultures, to also post so that it's equal, Don't be afraid to continue making those posts of know your rights and stuff. I don't want you to feel like you have to shrink back and hide within our community. This community represents all different types of people, Republican included, but you already are a part of it. So be here, be proud, share those things, share the links. I'll share some links in the comments. And this. Yeah, well, as you can imagine, it's well received by people who resonate with that message, but for people who are Republican, I also put on the post the first time some things that were borderline insulting. So this understandably got people ruffled their feathers. It wasn't too intense. I just said yo, how did the orange Cheeto man convince you guys to hate your neighbor while at the same time saying make America great again? Isn't the whole idea that everyone being able to survive on one income, kids are playing outside and your neighbor? So why are you being so hateful towards people who are literally a part of your community when you're trying to make America great again? It just doesn't, how did that happen? Be nice. Half of our community is Mexican American. So here's to my Mexican community members. Please don't be afraid to share your side as well. This group is for everybody. Keep posting your stuff, blah, 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 right? But it sucks, I think, because people are as an admin, you need to do better. Oh, you're stirring up hate by putting in this post. You're just bringing the conversation back. You just can't let it rest, this type of stuff. And it's like, well, it's a current issue. It's very much current to our daily lives right now in our community. So it's relevant. I think maybe people feel that way who don't agree with my post. I think people who agree with the message probably don't feel that way. Like, oh, she's drugging this up again. But it did have me questioning, because from the comments, it seemed to upset some people. I'm coming to terms with it now because, of course, it upset some people. Some people don't agree with me, which is fine. But it's just so funny how everybody's like, wow, as an admin, wow, really? Do better. Which it sucks because, yes, I'm an admin, but I also have a personal opinion. So I don't run the group from that personal opinion. There's been a lot of comments that were mean towards immigrants or had a strict stance toward illegal immigrants or whatever that I have not deleted. I mean, I don't delete things just because they go against my opinion. I don't even boot people from the group because they're right-wing or far-right, because if you live in this town, then you can be in the group. I can't kick you out of town either. So, it's been very much important to me throughout to be bipartisan about deleting comments, posts, or booting people from the group. I very much believe that the group should be reflective of the community. And so, if I can't kick people out of town, I can't kick people out of the group. This only really changes if there's one member who is being threatening or insulting. But like I said, I reached out to a lot of people personally on both quote-unquote sides and saying, hey, you have a point with your comment, but can you take the insult out so I can let it stand? I mean, these people that commented on my post don't know that, so maybe I should just fucking not even think about it twice. But at the same time, I'm just looking at Ecclesiastes like, what's the point of all this? You can't convince anyone of anything. As it says, what is crooked cannot be straightened. What is lacking cannot be counted. Well, that's how I feel about Republicans sometimes. They're crooked and it can't be straightened. They're lacking. And what's the use of going back and forth? I mean, normally I don't feel that way. Normally I don't feel that way at all. I really think that debate is at the core of our political system, and people can learn a lot from debate. Especially when I've been facilitating, okay, you guys can talk about policy, but don't call out each other's character. Okay, you guys can talk about the merits of your opinion, but you can't say, oh, you can't even put together a full sentence. Like, you're stupid. So you can't call people stupid, but you can point out the fallacies in their argument. And so, telling people that they can't insult the other person or that they have to reword it is making them use better arguments, is allowing them to think about the actual merits of their argument and their opinion and stick to that instead of the easy low-hanging fruit. But I'm a little guilty of it as well, because I said the orange Cheeto man convinced you to hate your neighbor, and you're being very un-Christ-like, I said in the post. Which is true, and it's really not that bad of an insult. I find it pretty mild. I mean, I spent more time criticizing Trump himself, who's not in the group, about what color he is. And, wow, that's a twist of things, isn't it? The only thing I really said about members of the group is that they've been very un-Christ-like, which, I mean, is not a slap in the face of an insult, but... So I guess the only thing people could think of is to comment, well, you're stirring up drama, you're stirring up hate, you are facilitating hatred and division, to which I responded back, I'm actually just stirring up pride, and the post is mostly just about people in our community not being afraid to post. Don't be afraid to also post things about the Mexican American community. Don't be afraid to post about know your rights, and here's an informative YouTube video about immigration. From a liberal point of view, like, I'm actually just promoting pride in diversity. I'm actually just promoting love, not hate. But yeah, I can see how you'd think that, because the opinions differ about whether or not these people should be allowed in our community. I mean, they are in our community. They're already, like, you can't take them out of our community unless you work for the president or ICE. So you can sit here and say all day, illegals need to go, but they're your fucking neighbors, dude. So, like, they're not going anywhere until they get deported by ICE with a warrant. Like, come back with a warrant. Oh, you want me out of the group? You want me out of town? Come back with a warrant. Like, I get it. This is rubbing you guys wrong, but this Facebook group is a reflection of everybody in town. So, like, this is not like a feel-good crafting group where you and all your friends get together and you're all like-minded. You know, this is a community informational page, but it's also just a community, meaning all kinds, all different types of people, different socioeconomic groups, different races, different political affiliations, and that's going to be reflected in the discussions within the group. Sorry about it. You can't kick anyone out of town. You can't kick anyone from the group. Like, that's my stance, dude. And as long as we're not, like, perpetrating violence, like abusive talk, which I find, when I say perpetrate violence, I mean verbal violence. I know that sounds like the most snowflake liberal thing ever, but threats and calling people stupid is a form of violence. It's just dehumanizing them. And I've seen a lot of that from both sides. I had to message somebody who was on the liberal side who was like, oh, wow, you can't even put together a decent argument. Your argument is exhausting me. Ugh, like, let me explain this to you. And I said, like, okay, you can educate, but you can't say to somebody you can't even put together an argument, because that's just a nicer way of saying you're stupid. So it's been really interesting, actually, seeing all the ways that people get around it, and it's been really productive, I find. But yes, it's been a little messy. So people who absolutely can't do confrontation have been uncomfortable in the group lately, which, yeah, sorry, but this is not a feel-good group. It's just a group. It's a community board. So if you're not feeling good when you're scrolling past it, take a break from the group. Snooze it for 30 days or go to a different group, you know, or spend time off of your phone. Take care of yourself. But yeah, this is a community board. This is a community page, and this is a community of all different types of people. So very that. I'm going to bring this episode to a close. Remember, everything is futile. Nothing means anything. Work is empty. We do all of this good stuff, and then somebody's just going to come in and turn around and reverse it all. So just do your best. Ecclesiastes ends this whole futile message with, look, the only thing worth caring about, the only thing that makes this whole thing called life worth it, because whatever you work for is not going to be everlasting. The only thing for it is to enjoy the simple pleasures in life. Enjoy good food, enjoy good wine, enjoy good company, enjoy what you're doing with your hands. Like, enjoy the fruits of your labor, it says. Like, enjoy doing the work, and if you're not enjoying it, well, it doesn't say if you're not enjoying it, what's the point? But I think the first part covered that. Like, everything is futile, dude. Nothing matters. So just enjoy eating, drinking, the simple pleasures in life, and enjoy whatever you spend your time doing. And that's it. That's the meaning of life, says Ecclesiastes. So I'm going to leave you guys with that. I hope you are doing well, keeping healthy, safe, and mentally well wherever you are. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye. Guys, if you're not listening to this on YouTube, run to my YouTube channel, Allison Adventures Yo, with one L, Alison Adventures Yo, like Y-O. And there you will find all of the episodes of my podcast. Through other podcast apps, they get deleted after 90 days because I'm on the free version of Buzzsprout where I produce my podcast. Free version of Buzzsprout deletes episodes every 90 days, but they stay up on YouTube. I also have other playlists on YouTube with some of the videos that I've mentioned here and there on different episodes and other informative things about politics and, for fun, some court cases. So find me on YouTube at Allison Adventures Yo.